Fuck it. All right. Let's go. All right. And we are live at the Fitness Burrito. I've got a special guest today. Wouldn't really call him special, but he's one of my mates. One of my, if we want to call business partners, I guess. We're trying to do some stuff together. But yeah, welcome to the Fitness Burrito. Hopefully you like that little intro track. It took me some time to make that up. I think it's an absolute fucking banger. So if it's your first time tuning into this, well, it will be because it's the first episode. My name is Dan Q. I'm not going to worry about explaining my last name. You're going to butcher it. So yeah, I'm Dan Q. I'm a PT, been a PT now for about 5 years. I like to say I'm a coach just because there's so many personal trainers out there. So I just think it sounds a little bit better in my honest opinion. I had a Bachelor of Science in Kinesiology from the University of New Brunswick, so UMB stand up. Any UMB alumni out there? What is good? So basically this podcast, the name's a bit different. I want to go against the grain, kind of just do something different. So the burrito side of things, obviously a burrito's got a whole bunch of stuff in it, doesn't it? So that's kind of why I thought it'd be a cool little name. I've got some little artwork done. And yeah, so that's the Fitness Burrito. So everything we talk about is, we want to kind of make it as real, kind of lighthearted. There's a few swear words in there. So if you got kids around, just cover their ears from time to time. And yeah, we just want to make sure that the info we give you is just info that we think is genuinely going to help. It's not, some of it is evidence-based, some of it's going to be just based on our own experience, but it's just having honest chat. So as the weeks go on, I'm going to try to drop a good podcast every week or two. Obviously, this first one's probably going to be absolutely fucking terrible, but it's all good. It's all good. You're right. You live and learn. Just wing it, right? Fake it till you make it. And so that's the Fitness Burrito. Cool. Yeah. I mean, I wrote some notes here, and I feel like I could probably go on forever, but whatever. We're just gonna go with the flow, aren't we? So that's the Fitness Burrito, guys. I'm gonna go over now and just introduce my guest. So I'm gonna introduce my guest. His name is Reiss Silva. Where are you from again?
London, Sri Lanka, Guyana, any of the above.
Yeah. So he's got a bit of a mix in there. But yeah, so he's a London kid, former footballer back in the day. I'm actually video recording this as well, so I'll check it on YouTube. But yeah, he's not the tallest guy in the world.
Am I in the video?
Yeah, you're in the video.
Good.
Yeah. You could probably talk a bit louder too.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like I said, guys, it's our first podcast, so we don't know if it's actually going to if you're going to hear it fairly well. But we'll give it a go anyway. So yeah, so he's from London, former footballer. I think he's done pretty much everything growing up. He probably thinks he's a jack of all trade like me. Realistically, he's probably not that good at a lot of things.
Well-rounded athlete.
But yeah, so I'm just going to get him to introduce himself. He's doing some pretty cool stuff right now in the mixed martial arts world. So yeah, Reiss, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for inviting me to your home. He's actually cooking me breakfast, so that's how people actually pay me to get on this podcast.
Yeah, healthy breakfast as well, obviously.
Yeah,
no fried foods.
Yeah, so off to you, mate. So tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do.
Cool. So first of all, I think that's the first time I've ever been called a special guest, so that's nice.
Okay.
But yeah, so as Dan mentioned, Londoner, East London to be specific. Grew up in Stratford.
Stratford? Is that where Dave's from?
Dave?
The rapper.
No, he's from South London.
I swear he said Stratford. I watched the Brit Awards.
Stratford.
Is that not the same thing?
Or Stratford. Stratham.
Yeah. My bad, Dave.
So
if you're listening to this, Dave, my bad.
So Canadian. From Stratford, not South London, East London. Grew up playing football. Playing all sports, really. I actually played basketball growing up.
How good were you, though? That's what the people, like, if you're a British person listening to this podcast, everybody's probably like, he's probably so shit at football. Because I feel like every British person just thinks they're unbelievable at football. Are you that good? Were you good?
I was good at football and basketball, actually. I was good at basketball in primary school, and then in the summer between primary school and secondary school, everyone got real tall.
Yeah.
And that was my career over.
Okay.
But I was decent. But football, I was good. I was really good. But then everyone got really big as well, and then didn't really make a career of it.
That's all right, mate.
So here we are in the fitness industry.
Cool.
But yeah, what else do you want to know?
So yeah, what do you do now, right? So you've been a PT. So just let you know, I used to be Reiss's boss. A few of these people I'm probably gonna get on the podcast. I was probably their gaffer. For all you Canadian American people that don't know what gaffer is, it just means your boss. Just a cool way of saying it. But yeah, so I used to be Reiss's boss. I remember coming in, and he was just kind of like, not really just starting off, but you were just starting to pick up, weren't you?
Yeah, I think I met you once before on the business course.
Yeah, never forgot that moment, did you?
No, I was running around town trying to give people business cards. And
yeah.
Do you remember?
No, I don't.
No, he had us running around town, business cards. Basically gave us half an hour to go in and get like as many business cards as we could.
Oh, yeah. That's a good idea, though.
It's like character building.
Yeah. And look at where you are now.
I got 0 leads from that whole half an hour.
Whatever, fuck it, right? But yeah, so I guess I remember. So Reiss basically always said he wanted to be an S&C type coach with fighters, boxers, you name it. So yeah, kind of explain how that came about and just like what you're doing with those guys right now, because that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I don't really know how it exactly came about. That was always kind of my long-term goal, but it kind of just happened really organically. So when I moved to Leeds, as you sort of touched on, when you came to Pure Gym, been there for maybe about 4 months or something, I think.
Yeah.
But I relocated to Leeds. We had basically been living in New Zealand for a couple of years, came back.
No big deal.
No, casual. And then we got back sort of home and we just knew that wasn't for us. We wanted to relocate. I'd been uni in Leeds and Amy had sort of always visited and liked it. So we relocated and I joined Pure Gym basically because it was kind of like the most low risk option. I could do the hours, not have to pay rent when I was starting out, reduce my expenses and all that sort of stuff. Was mostly doing sort of general population, PT, weight loss stuff or muscle building stuff. But on pretty much the first week when I got to Leeds, spent like 3 days just traveling around every single boxing gym, sending messages to every single boxing coach I could, trying to get in touch to see if anyone needed strength and conditioning. And then eventually P from Golden Team replied and was like, oh yeah, cool, come down and we'll have a chat. Went down, had a chat, spoke to him about what I wanted to do. He was like, cool, I've got a lad for you. Why don't you do a session with Mick next week and he'll see what he thinks. And yeah, 2 years later, still training him and kind of just went from there. So I had Mick while I was at Pure Gym. And then about 4 months later, Mark got in touch with me via Instagram. So I just had those two, but apart from that, it was all sort of general population, weight loss and stuff like that. And then in the October, I think it was, I was like, right, I want to leave, go elsewhere to sort of do the combat sports thing. Only combat sports, sorry. You wouldn't let me. You said I weren't ready. So I waited another 6 months and then made the move over to Graft House.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, I sat down. I said, look, I want to move. I feel like I want to move on to just combat athletes. And you were like, no.
I was being selfish. I was running a gym, man. I needed people to run the fucking gym. That's just what I didn't want to do weekends, man. So if you guys haven't heard of Pure Gym's like the biggest gym chain in the UK. It's one of the biggest in Europe now. They're starting to open up gyms in the States. I work for them. So I didn't really give a really good intro about myself, did I, at the beginning? No, kind of.
They don't know anything about it.
No, nothing. Yeah. So basically, I'm like a business PT mentor. So I used to be a cluster manager for them in a city called Leeds. So basically, I'm running not running 5 gyms, but I oversee 5 gyms. I run my own gym. I have about 17 PTs in this gym. It's like a really good corporate demographic, so the PTs kill it. And yeah, so now my job is basically just to help PTs, help them build a business. Obviously, I kind of did it a little bit when I was a PT when I first started off, when I moved to the UK. So I moved to the UK and yeah, basically just had no idea what I wanted to do.
Where did you move from the UK from? Sorry,
I moved from Canada.
Okay, all right. This is the Reiss Silva podcast now. My first guest is DQ.
Yeah. Christ, I didn't even do anything, did I, at the beginning? Just because I'm conscious of time, I want to keep it, short and sweet. But yeah, so basically, guys, moved from Canada, chased a girl, still with that girl, so that's cool. And then yeah, started my PT career. Played basketball, played like almost on a full ride. You can't really get full rides in Canada, but I got paid decent money to go play in Canada. And then yeah, when I came over here, I was like, I might as well keep doing something in sports and fitness. Made a shit ton of mistakes. Learn a whole bunch, learn a lot every day, work with some of the top guys in the UK, in my opinion, in terms of like former coaches and how they run their own businesses and stuff. So yeah, that's kind of why I thought I'd do this podcast, just to share, like I said, experiences that I've gone through that other people like Reiss and other coaches have gone through, and how we could just help you get results. I just don't want to always talk about me. But yeah, thanks for looking out, bro.
That's right. You can tease them, give them a bit each week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Drip feed.
Gotta make them coming back.
So yeah, just to touch back on what you said, Reiss. So I think it's pretty cool when you think about like you just wanted to work with athletes, specifically more MMA fighters, and yeah, you just kind of made it happen, man, which is cool. So big props to you. Yeah. Not many people just go out there and just say, I'm just gonna fucking do this today. I'm gonna talk to as many people, message as many people, DM people, slide into those DMs, weren't you? And yeah, mate, you just kind of got it going for you now. You got some good fight. How many fighters do you have on your portfolio, should we say?
So now I have 15, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 15.
Cool. And what do they range from, ages and professionalism? Or?
Yeah, so I think pretty much a good split now. I think I've got 7 boxers, 7 MMA, and 1 kickboxer. I think that's the split. Ages.
Which one's your favorite though? On the spot.
Define favorite.
Like which if you could just scrap all of them and only focus on one sport.
You're gonna get
No, not your clients. I mean like the sport. Sorry. Like if you could get rid of kickboxing, boxing, just go MMA or like a mixture. What would you say?
I thought you was gonna get me set there. Those are like anyone who's thinking of coming on, do not come on. Future.
Yeah.
Do you know what? So it was always boxing that I started out at, just because I boxed myself a bit and I sort of knew what I was doing and what it felt like and blah. But I quite enjoy the MMA side of things, which is a lot more diverse because you don't know how the fight's going to go.
Okay.
With boxing, you kind of know it's going to be inside or a boxing fight, so it's going to be fast-paced on the inside, more of a sort of scrap, or it's going to be a boxing match, fast-paced, slow-paced. That's the only variables, really.
Yeah.
With the MMA, it could be grapple, could be stand-up, could be 5 minutes of just one person on top of the other. You don't know where it's going to go. So in terms of programming, it's a lot more interesting, a lot more diverse, there's a lot more to it. So I enjoy that side of it. But to be honest, I don't really have a preference. I think if someone said to me, look, you can only do one, I'd probably do boxing just because I know.
Sorry, we're still just middle class people. We're washing our laundry while we're doing this podcast. The table's actually vibrating. You know what I mean? We're just regular people, man.
And back, I just closed it off. But yeah, I think I'd probably do boxing just because I know more about it. I've boxed myself a little bit, so I know certain feelings that they're having and stuff like that. So I'd be better at boxing side of thing.
Cool.
But yeah, so I think that would be the one to go down.
Cool. We're actually having like a minor earthquake.
I know, why is it so big?
Yeah, house is shaking. Okay, cool. So that's pretty cool, man. So again, just to reiterate what I said, I think it's pretty dope that you've gone from nothing to something in terms of the boxing realm, and this guy's on TV every now and then holding belts and shit. And I swear when you see him on TV, he looks like he's still about 12. Yeah. So you're like, how the fuck that guy get in the ring, man? Like, you know what I mean? Show me your ID. Cool. So yeah, so that's a little bit about Reiss. So yeah, with these podcast guys, we're just gonna try to keep it nice, short and sweet. So don't want to go over like 40 minutes. We try to keep it around 30 to 40 minutes, really. So the next thing, so now this is more kind of where we dive into a bit more of the training and nutrition side. And I think it's cool to maybe get your perception on a few different things. Because obviously you're coming from the MMA, boxing, mixed martial arts background. So first question, what are methods that you use with your fighters when it comes to training that could benefit the average Joe?
Do you know what? I think on the face of it, a lot of people being like, oh, there's not that much that would transfer over. They're like elite level athletes and just somebody who wants to get fitter, stronger. But actually, most of it, I'd say 95% of the programs I use with the guys that anyone could use. Okay. Because the basics works.
So what would be an example?
For example, so a lot of the guys as well that I work with, they've boxed for so many years, but in terms of training age, it's quite low. So even though they're elite level athletes in the gym, they've only been in there for like a year. So they're quite low level in terms of their strength and conditioning. So just mastering the basics of movement, so your squat, your hinge, push, pull, carry something heavy once in a while and get your core strong, like the basics work. 95% of my programs are based around that. And then as you've got a couple that have been doing it since they were young, sort of maybe done 5 years worth of strength and conditioning, you can use a bit more of the advanced techniques. But on the whole, just doing that basic stuff will get someone fitter and stronger, and they can use that.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because when you think about it, like, again, a lot of the questions I ask is going to be in the mindset of just being someone who doesn't really know.
Yeah.
So maybe somebody who's trying to lose weight or gain muscle, a bit of both. And I always just kind of want us to kind of stay in that mindset, or I guess me anyways, when I ask the question. So I think it's interesting because if I was an average, I don't want to say average Joe, that sounds a bit like condescending a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that word means.
No,
whatever.
Who's Joe?
I meant condescending.
Oh.
Oh my God, wow. Over your head. Yeah, so I think some people feel like, oh, they're pro boxers, pro fighters, they must know what the hell they're doing, and they probably think that you're doing. And the thing is, too, to be fair, if I look at like your stories on Insta, so again, I'll get Reiss to shout out his Instas and all that bullshit, right? So at Elite Step, but when I look at your stories, like you use like heart rate monitors and you use like velocity trackers. So for those of you guys that don't know what the velocity tracker would be, basically you just chuck this little thing on a bar, or maybe it tracks the bar through video and kind of tells you the speed of the bar. And as a coach, you can use that. It's really valuable. But so I think if I'm somebody who has no idea what they're doing with training, and then they see Reiss on Instagram, and they go, oh, cool, he's using a velocity tracker. I wonder what that does. Realistically, you're like, well, I'm actually just focusing on the basics, which is what you should do, which is a push, pull, some type of hinge movement, and the rest. So that's kind of cool. Okay. So would you say that a lot of athletes probably are in that same kind of, I don't know, like skill level where they probably think they're really, really good at things, and when you break it down, they're not that good? Yeah,
definitely. I think just breaking it down to the most basic form, just movement patterns.
Breaking
it down. Just movement patterns. A lot of them, just where they've been boxing for so long, mobility and movement sort of compromised a little bit.
Okay.
So just even things like that is, you have to start basic. You can't get them doing certain things because they're just not in a position where they can do that efficiently without a low risk of injury.
Okay.
As I said, cool. Training ages of them guys are, not all of them, but some of them are quite low, and even the ones that have been doing it for quite a while, they're not at a point where just squatting heavy, deadlifting heavy is not going to produce the results they want. So we can still push the boundaries on that a little bit before we have to actually advance the techniques.
Cool, sweet. So I think that's pretty good. So I guess just to go over the questions, so methods that you'd use with fighters when it comes to training that could benefit the average Joe, realistically, is probably then focus on a push. So a push movement, as in like a push-up is a perfect example. You're pushing, right? A pull would be like a kind of row. A squat, so it could be like ideally if you're somebody just starting off, you're not going to do like a barbell back squat or a barbell front squat. Just focus on going bodyweight squat, and then just overload over time. Just master the movement pattern itself before you even load it. And then hinge, so again, squat's kind of a hinge, but you could do anything else, can you? What could you do? You could do anything, glute bridges from the floor, body weight. You don't have to load it straight away. As I said, just get the movement. You can do kettlebell swings. You can do kettlebell deadlifts, which are a lot easier to master. And I think another important thing is that with the boxers, I get them, or MMA guys as well, get them doing a lot of pulling movements, more so than pushing. Just because everything they do is in that pushing stance, they're boxing. And that's very similar to the general population. Everything we do is chest rounded, so reading on your phones, driving, at your desk all day. So the chest muscles shorten, shoulders internally rotate, and you can get a lot of posture problems. It's called being kyphotic, and that's the same with the boxers. So we get them doing a lot of pulling movements just to try and counteract that, but the everyday person will benefit massively from that as well. Okay, cool, sweet. Awesome. On to the next one then. So this one, again, just to help people out that might have a lack of time, not really sure what to do, maybe intimidated of going to the gym. So if you had 30 to 45 minutes at home, what would you do for a workout, and what about in the gym? So let's start with, if you're in your home, you got 30 minutes, you need to pump something out, you might not have any kit, so any equipment whatsoever. What would you do? Focus on those same things?
Yeah, I'd probably focus on those same things, but I'd probably throw it into sort of like a little Tabata circuit of some kind. So
Cool. So what is Tabata?
So that's working sort of high intensity intervals with a short period of rest. So for example, you might do 20 seconds on, 10 seconds rest, go into the next exercise and just repeat that for rounds.
Okay.
So off the top of my head, a little setup you could do is maybe choose 4 exercises: 1 upper body, 1 lower, 1 core, 1 heart raiser, and work through that format and just say go through twice as a 4-minute round. You could do 4 rounds at 16 minutes and you've got quite a good workout there.
Cool. So just to kind of expand on that one, so off the back of what Reiss said, right? So 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, you're going to do an upper body movement. So let's say you go push-ups, right? You can do it on your knees, you can do it on the couch, right? Elevated or whatever, just progress it if you want to. Then you're going to do a squat as an example, so lower body exercise or a lunge. Then you're going to do leg raises, you're going to do any kind of core variation like a plank, side plank, or any variations of those. And then you might just sprint on the spot, do jumping jacks, 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. You do that for 30 minutes, I'm telling you, you're going to be dripping. Like, you are going to be moist.
That's hard. After 2 rounds of that, it's hard. Like, 100%. High intensity is good. And as I said, you probably would only do like, get away with doing 20 minutes of that.
Yeah.
And that's a good workout.
100%. And I think this is why a lot of people feel like they need to go to the gym sometimes, because they need to get that feeling, because they don't really know what to do at their home or outside the house. Like, you can do this outside, you can do this at home, and probably never go to the gym and actually probably get in pretty decent shape. Like, you probably get shredded, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like you should only go to the gym if you enjoy going to the gym. If it feels like a chore going to the gym and you don't enjoy it, then find something you do enjoy. Whether
that's a good point.
Playing a sport, going for walks, whatever. Like, getting fit and healthy or reaching your goals doesn't have to be in the 4 walls of the gym.
Yeah. It's a good point. Okay, cool. So the next one was, what is the biggest bang for your buck to lose weight and build muscle, in your opinion? It's a loaded question.
Yeah, it is. It's a very opinionated one. But I would say, so just go and lift heavy stuff. If you've got the competency in all the movements, let's assume that someone can go at good technique at higher loads.
Yeah.
I would just go in and lift heavy stuff. So I'd warm up, say one day maybe do a squat, one day a deadlift, one day a bench press.
Cool.
Do sets of 3 to 5 reps and maybe like 5 to 6 sets. Do that and then just finish off with some accessory and core work. Nice and simple, probably takes you about 40 minutes to get that done, and I'd say that's probably your biggest bang for buck.
Cool, sweet, you heard it here first. The Fitness Burrito. No one's ever talked about this ever. Yeah, it's probably about 1 million people doing podcasts right now about fitness, but whatever, they're not as good as we are. Okay, sweet. So this is a cool question as well. I thought it'd be interesting to hear, because you do obviously some pretty crazy shit with like your boxers and your fighters, because you got to make weight. So some of it is not going to apply, but I thought it'd be cool to ask. What's your nutrition philosophy with your fighters? So I guess what I mean by that is, like, what are you getting them to focus on? So, like, we're always talking about nutrition plans in the fitness industry and like keto diets, low carb, all of this. And is there anything that you would do with them that you would not recommend for the average Joe? Because I think there probably is, right?
Yeah, 100% there will be stuff we don't do, because especially in the MMA, there's guys that are cutting 8 to 10% body weight fight week. So for example, someone fighting at lightweight 155, they're probably cutting about 12 to 15 pounds in a week.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't advise that. But again, almost like the training side of it, a lot of the stuff people could implement themselves. So in terms of just making sure you're fueling for your sessions.
Yeah.
Again, they're trying to lose weight, so there might be someone who is trying to lose weight as well, and they end up under eating so much that they're just drained and tired and fatigued, and they can't actually train and all that sort of stuff.
Do your fighters do that ever?
Oh yeah, massively.
Like, they just want to make weight so bad, they're just like, I'm just not going to eat Reiss.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to put on the bin bags and just keep running.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard one. Like, a lot of the fighters as well, they just assume getting meal prep and eating healthily is the same as eating for performance, when it's not.
Okay.
I could have someone eating healthily, and you look at the diet and you're like, oh, he's eating really clean, eating healthy, he's got loads of veg, but he's not got enough calories, he's not fueled for his sessions, he's not recovering from his sessions, all that sort of stuff.
Got you.
I've seen some fighters, when you track the calories, probably under eating 2,000 to 3,000 a day.
That's wild.
Which is crazy.
That's
because
actually crazy.
They're burning like 1,000 calories a session, training 3 times a day, and then plus just for being alive without their training,
Yeah.
and they're only having under 2,000 calories a day, but they need about 4,000 or 5,000.
It's a mindset thing, though. It's got to be, right?
Yeah,
because I think it's a culture. It's got to be like a fighting culture.
Yeah, and I think it's anywhere, like, even if people who listen to this want to lose weight, their first probably initial reaction is, right, I need to stop eating. I need to eat as little as possible.
Yeah. Or cut carbs or cut fats because they're terrible for you for some reason. And they're not, by the way. You just need to get, in a really nice way, we need to educate you.
Yeah, for sure. And
that's a problem.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the stuff, and the stuff that would work from the fighters to the general population, like your carbs, just viewing them as your petrol. So yeah, you don't, if you're not training, you could probably reduce your carbs a little bit. But if you've got a heavy session in the gym, you need your carbs for your petrol.
Yeah, so if you're putting miles on the body, right, you can't expect to run the car if you don't have fuel. It's a good 100%. Shout. Good shout.
And then in terms of your protein, just getting that in mostly for recovery. So again, if you're going and lifting weights and stuff like that, and you're not eating enough protein, you're just not going to recover. Therefore, next day's session is not going to be as good. You're going to be sore, and that's what tends to lead to people giving up with the gym.
I'm just thinking out loud. So okay, here we go. And we're coming up with some good shit right here. So the petrol's the car for the car, right?
Yeah.
That's your carbs.
Yeah.
Right. Your tires are the protein. They're doing the work.
Yeah.
Like you need it. You need it. If you don't replace your tires ever,
can't drive with a flat tire.
You can't do it, right?
No.
You need the protein because it's always working. You know what the fats are?
The oil.
Yeah, I was thinking the windshield spray or liquid or whatever. Like use it every now and then.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
But like you're not gonna overdo it, are you?
Yeah. So I was gonna say oil because you need the good oils in your car.
Yeah,
you
that's
put
fair.
too
like
much of
fish oil,
the rubbish stuff.
Yeah, fish oil in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're onto something there.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Anything else?
And then I think the back end of the question was anything that I wouldn't do.
Yeah. What would you not do?
So as I said, just undereat so much. Just stop eating. Not fuel up with carbs. Eliminate all types of fat. And obviously just a drastic weight cut. Go slow and steady. Take your time.
Okay. What would you recommend for a deficit? So for those of you that don't know what a deficit is, basically if I need 2,000 calories to maintain my weight, right? So I need to eat 2,000 calories worth of food. A deficit would mean I'm eating less than that. So I might eat 1,500, 1,400, 1,600. What would you recommend a healthy deficit to be?
So I would say 300 calories, somewhere like that.
Okay.
Is a good place to start.
Yeah.
The issue is people often underestimate what they're eating. So if they say we're going to have a 300 calorie deficit, they're actually maybe only just slightly in that, if not at maintenance or above.
Okay.
So as a starting point, what I would say is cut 500 calories out from your maintenance amount.
Yeah.
And then just monitor your weight on a week by week basis. If you're not seeing the improvements, obviously means you're not in a deficit, so just drop it a little bit more.
Okay.
And just do it. That doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to track every single meal and stuff like that. Just choose better foods, eat a little bit less, move a little bit more, and if you're not seeing the results, alter and try again. Trial and error. Yeah.
I actually read a pretty cool study the other day. I don't remember it exactly what the title was, but it was a study looking at the different calculators that calculate like how many calories you need to eat. And it's crazy like how much they vary. And I think like on average they vary about 200 to 300, I think it was. So that it basically means that you could be eating 2,000 calories when actually you need to eat 2,300, or actually maybe you're needing to eat 1,700. So it goes on both sides. Cool. Yeah. That's all right. Sweet. Anything else to add?
No, I think that would pretty much be
all right.
The main bit.
We're doing pretty good for time. I must say. I'm just going to postpone this update on my computer. So next up we have, so like I said, we're trying to keep these to about 30 minutes or so. We're probably about 25 minutes down. Next up we have, so every podcast we're going to have a flavor of the week, right? Because, it's a fitness burrito. Got a bit of flavor in there, know what I'm saying? A little bit of Salt Bay. Might get him on the next podcast, imagine. So, again, the flavor of the week is always going to be based around a journal article, so evidence-based info, and I'm just going to try to explain it as best as I can because I just think that it's worth you knowing, and it should definitely help you. So this week's flavor of the week, we're going to be talking about, get ready, drum roll. All right, stretching. So specifically, stretching before your workout. Now, this is probably one of the things that is widely done across, like, I don't even know, the fitness industry, And just like the average person, I would say,
Yeah.
everyone feels like they need to stretch before workout. So we're going to examine that, and we're just going to talk through it. So Reiss, you just jump in. Anything you kind of think, just throw that in there.
Well,
So when it comes to stretching, right? If I just kind of bring my notes down a bit. So we're going to look at stretching specifically for anaerobic training. So what do you actually, do you call it anaerobic or you call it lactic or something, don't you?
So we'd break the anaerobic down into the two different systems of the alactic and lactic.
Cool. So again, that probably went over a few people's heads. So basically, all I want you to know is when it comes to training, we have anaerobic and we have aerobic. Okay, aerobic is with oxygen, right? Anaerobic is basically, we say, without oxygen. So we're basically trying to get our fuel from certain pathways in the body that don't necessarily rely on us having to breathe air and use that air to create energy. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Am I chatting shit?
No, you're good.
Okay, cool. So basically, what we're going to look at then is exercises that roughly happen within 1 to potentially, 2 minutes worth of time. So that would look like a sprint. So obviously, sprinters are not going to run for longer than 2 minutes, are they? And again, these exercises tend to be kind of like when you're thinking about like a percentage. So think 100% is like you're sprinting as hard as you can. We're looking at about like 70% plus. That's usually when we're going to be using the anaerobic system. Am I doing all right so far? Yeah? Okay. Okay. So basically, we're going to look at how stretching affects exercises or any kind of activity you're doing within that first 2 minutes. So in this case, sprinting and lifting to a certain extent. So I guess just to give you a bit of context, what we want to talk about is when you're just doing a bit of a warm-up, right? So everybody should be doing a warm-up in the gym. It's one of my biggest pet peeves actually, is when I see people just stroll in and do fuck all, and then they're like, why am I always getting hurt? Or I don't know, they're just complaining about something. I'm like, well, probably because you never warm up.
Yeah, it's one of my guys that I sort of look up to, I guess. He always said suboptimal warm-up equals a suboptimal session.
Yeah, 100%. And I think this is probably one of the biggest things I wish we could help change just in like commercial gyms. Again, tangent here, but in my head, perfect gym would be a gym that every person that comes through the door, regardless of what they're paying, you get to assess them and you get to give them and prescribe them exactly what they need and educate them on how they do it, because chances are then they're going to get results better. Obviously, that's going to screw over a shit ton of PTs, because then PTs don't need to exist. But yeah, that's my philosophy.
Yeah. Actually, on that as well, like in my typical session, a warm up would probably take up a third of the session.
Yeah.
Say it's an hour, probably 20 minutes, and you get some really good work done in that warm up. Whether that's like corrective stuff, mobility stuff,
100%,
or a little bit of strength stuff, whatever it is, you can get some really good work done. It's not something where it's just like, right, let's just get blood flowing and then that's it. Let's jump on to what we're doing.
Yeah.
You can actually get some effective session work done.
100%. So I guess just, again, tangent over, but just to go over the warm-up. So really what your warm-up should be doing is increasing core temp, elevating your baseline oxygen consumption. So basically just like you're trying to get your body primed and ready to go. So naturally, if you're going to start exercising and you do that for about 2-3 minutes, your body's getting warmer, your lungs are starting to kick in. So naturally, like, you're getting primed. That's going to increase your heart rate. And the other thing we want to maybe look at is, are you going to affect muscle stiffness? So again, this might be something that, like, if I have no idea what that means, like in terms of training, I'm just going to explain this because I think this is actually really beneficial. And when I was going over some notes and stuff yesterday, I thought, you know what, it's actually pretty good. So what I want you to think about, right? Muscle stiffness. What does that mean? So just think about if you're standing up before a session, you just came into the gym and you're just stretching, right? What you need to realize is before you even stretch, if we just take, let's use your chest as an example. So your chest has like a length, right? The muscle already has like a predisposed length, okay? As you're stretching it, what happens before your workout is you're stretching that muscle, which might have been, let's say, 5 centimeters long. Now it's slowly getting longer and longer and longer and longer and longer, right? And it's going to stay that length potentially for a certain amount of time, right? For an acute amount of time. So that might be, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, might be the whole day. We don't know, all right? What happens, right, is you start losing like elasticity or recoil in that muscle. So basically just think about a muscle, you're stretching it like a rubber band, and if you let go, it comes right back. So a perfect example of this is if I'm doing a bench press, right, and I take the weight off the bench, as I'm coming down, right, I'm actually doing physically like in the camera. So if you're watching this, I'm doing it, right? So as I'm coming down, okay, I'm stretching that muscle, right? And I'm getting a stretch reflex, which is basically what we're trying to do. So it hits my chest and it pumps it back up. So that's the stretch reflex. Now the issue is, if I decide to stretch, right, before my bench, right? So if I come in the gym, I don't do any warm up, I just start stretching the shit out of my pecs, right? Then I'm going to go onto the bench. I've lost recoil, I've lost elasticity, so I'm actually probably going to decrease my overall ability to bench what I wanted to bench. And a perfect way to also think about this is, if I then did all these stretches and I took that exact same weight, so let's say if I can only bench 100 kilos, that's my max bench, right? I come in, I warm up, right? I don't do any stretches. I do my 100 kilo bench. It's like a 10 out of 10 like effort. It's really difficult. If I then make you stretch the next time, right? You don't do any warm up. I make you stretch. Reiss comes on. I take that 100 kilos. I put it directly on his chest to start. So I don't get him to unload. I just put it right on his chest. There's no way he's getting that up. Like he thinks he is. He's just out here just repping reps right now. But there's no way he's going to get that up because he's got no stretch reflex. So he's got no elasticity. Does that make sense?
Yeah. A good example actually popped to my head. So
yeah, go for it.
So back to the rubber band you said at the start. When that's a little bit tighter and you pull it back and fire it, it'll go quite far. If you stretch that out so it's a little bit more, I guess, saggy, and you try and pull that back and fly, it's not going to go as far.
Yeah,
because it's not stiff.
Exactly. So I think I'm gonna go through a few little studies here, or I guess just like a bit of a summary, without going into too much detail, just to make you understand that there's evidence behind it. So the first one was with sprinters, and they looked at performance. Okay, so they basically had a group of sprinters. They made some sprinters stretch before they ran. They had sprinters actually only stretch one leg, both legs, whatever. They just kind of had a mixture. And basically all what you need to know is that the sprinters that did not stretch, right, actually ran faster. They had better performance compared to the ones that did. And again, it's quite deep rooted, because a lot of people are going to feel like sometimes they're just tight in general, so they're going to naturally feel like they need to stretch because like psychologically it massively probably helps them, and that's cool. So I think if you're a coach, or if you're just somebody in general that like feels like psychologically you need to stretch, I'm not telling you not to. Just know that it's probably going to affect your performance, especially if you're trying to run faster. So that's the first one. The second example is that they actually looked at it as well with rugby players. And again, they were looking at their sprint tests over 20 meters, I think. And again, same thing, but now what they did is they incorporated dynamic stretching. So again, we're just talking about static stretching now. Okay, I'm just going to explain to you what dynamic stretching is. So dynamic stretching is basically you're taking, I don't know, let's look at the hip, right? So some people might have done leg swings before. So you're basically just like against the wall, and you're just basically chucking your leg from side to side or from front to back, and you're just stretching it in like a dynamic way. So a lot of people tend to do this. A lot of probably sports kind of athletes, all that kind of stuff. Do you do that with your fighters?
Yeah.
Cool. And again, it's just kind of one of those things that you learn like through university and things like that, or as a PT, and if you're a coach. And what they looked at was, again, would static stretching affect performance, and how would dynamic stretching impact performance? And basically, long story short, static stretching hurt their performance, right? And dynamic stretching improved their performance. And what's actually even more interesting is that they even had a group do both. Okay, and the group that did both, what they realized is that it stayed the same. So if I'm somebody, right, if I'm I don't know, Roberts, okay, and I'm like 35 to 45 years old, I'm not really sure what I should be doing before my workouts, right? I'm going to do maybe a bit of a leg session, or I want to go for a run or whatnot. If you want to stretch before, Robert, you want to do some static stretching, go for it, but I would probably couple that with dynamic stretching. Yeah, and if you're not sure what that looks like, again, just go on YouTube, put dynamic stretching, and you'll find a whole bunch of stuff. What do you think of that?
Yeah, sounds good, and it's an interesting point about the group that done both.
Yeah,
they didn't actually change.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah, it's cool. So I thought that was interesting, because I think a lot of people, again, probably don't like. If I was to go, what's better, static stretching or dynamic stretching, and you said dynamic, and I said why, like I want you to explain it. So for everybody out there, listen to this. Hopefully, there's gonna be millions. Probably not. Probably about 5. My mom being one of them. Just know that dynamic stretching is the way to go. And if you're gonna do static stretching, probably do it at the end of your workout. But if you really need to do it before because you think it's gonna help, then just couple it with dynamic stretching. So if you're gonna do it, then the big things is maybe just do it for like 5-10 minutes before. Do 8 to 10 reps, and again, there's a million different exercises you can do. Try to make it as specific as you can to what your workout's going to be. So, like I said, I'm not going to go do leg dynamic workouts or leg dynamic stretching, before an upper body workout. Like, it doesn't make sense, and vice versa. So 5-10 minutes, 8 to 10 reps. These studies overall just kind of showed that, and again, there was a whole bunch, there's like 7 of them, and just in case people think I'm chatting shit, like I pay to like read these articles, and I pay for people to summarize these articles so that I make sure I actually know what I'm talking about. So I'm not just making this up. But again, dynamic appears to increase strength, power, jumping, and sprinting performance. So that's what you need to know. So that's cool. What about chronic stretching? Because right now we're just talking about acute stretching. So that's basically meaning like I'm just stretching for like 20 to 30 seconds, maybe a little bit longer. But what about chronic stretching? I think most people know this, but you know, if you're going to just stretch for a shit ton of time, you're going to get better range of motion. Again, this is backed up by a study over 10 weeks. They stretched over 40 minutes, 3 days a week, and they could touch their toes a lot more than people that didn't. Pretty straightforward. Yeah. And again, you can see that because all those Russian crazy gymnasts and people that just like hold them in positions for like an hour. What else? So let's talk about DOMS. How does it affect DOMS? So if you don't know what a systematic review is basically just some really smart people that look at a whole bunch of studies. In this case, it was 5 studies, and they look at what the effects on DOMS are. So DOMS is delayed onset muscle soreness. So if you've had a really tough workout, Reiss isn't saying anything. He's just like in the zone.
No, I'm actually reading the study. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's cool, right? It's cool, man. It's cool. Just watch and learn. So if you're somebody who just did a big session, right, and you're really sore, this is like DOMS, right? And a lot of people think that if I'm stretching, if I'm doing all this kind of crazy stuff, maybe before and after it's going to help. And a lot of people think static stretching is going to help. And again, right, there's basically evidence, there's pretty clear evidence really that shows that there's no effect on muscle soreness. So your best bet is probably to find some way of improving blood flow. That's why you see all these crazy athletes buy like those parachute pants that just constrict your legs because it's just helping you get better blood flow. Maybe you want to wear like compression shorts or like long sleeve compression pants.
I've had some good results sort of doing cold baths as well, or cold showers after training.
Okay.
In terms of stopping soreness, just because it stops the inflammation in the muscles. But obviously avoid that if you're looking to build muscle, because you want that breakdown, you want that inflammation.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Yeah. So if you're somebody who's trying to get like big legs and you're hammering your legs all the time in the gym, that's actually another study that I saw, which will be another flavor of the week, a little pepper next week. Was that actually that could potentially hurt your gains because like Reiss said, you're getting in a cold bath, inflammation's basically reducing, but your body kind of needs to repair it. That's kind of why the inflammation's there. Cool. So further studies also suggest that doing so before doesn't produce meaningful reductions of risk of injury. So again, if you think, oh, I'm just going to do a bunch of stretching today because like just don't want to get hurt, well, you're probably fucking yourself because you're actually going to decrease performance, and it's not going to probably do anything for you.
That's an interesting one as well, because I'd assume from what I hear and stuff, majority of people when they're feeling sore, like, right, I'm not actually going to do my session today, I'm just going to go and stretch for 30 minutes.
Yeah, and I think, you know what, there's nothing wrong with that, but probably just don't go work out after. Like, if I'm going to go work out after this podcast, I'm not going to go stretching before I hit my bench or I do pull-ups or whatever. But if I'm doing like a recovery day, then I might do if I'm not going to work out.
Yeah, you just think as well the kind of mood you get in when you're stretching, it's very relaxed, very chilled. You're not in that, from a central nervous point of view, you're probably going more to your relaxed state.
Yeah.
So when you're trying to get up for training, it's going to be very difficult anyway.
Yeah.
So, definitely on recovery days.
Sweet. And then just to finish off on this flavor of the week, just kind of as a bit of a summary. So again, a meta-analysis is just looking at a whole bunch of studies again and just basically telling you like a summary of all those studies. So static stretching overall produced a small to moderate decrease in performance. So about 3.7%, so we're getting specific here. Longer stretching durations are worse, right? So if you're going to go over 60 seconds, it's saying that you're probably going to decrease performance up to 5% almost. If you're stretching less than 60 seconds, it's probably going to be about like 1.1, which is not much, but like, again, for the average Joe, probably is not the end of the world, right? Again, I'm not trying to tell you like, don't stretch, but if you're really focused about performance, you want to get the most out of your workouts, then probably don't static stretch before. So again, it's probably detrimental, more so for trained athletes than the average population. And like we talked about muscle stiffness, so again, just remember you're basically stretching a muscle that already has like elasticity in it. It's like a rubber band. If you're stretching that, then it's going to affect the elasticity before your bench, as an example, or your squat. So if I'm going to go squat, it's going to affect potentially my performance. But then your dynamic stretching, so like we said, leg swings or other variations of this, again, just go YouTube it. That's going to increase your performance probably by about like 1 to 2%.
Yeah, and if you think it's kind of marginal gains, isn't it? Well, it is marginal gains. If you
100%.
think someone who's going in and stretching for less than 60 seconds, so each session is a 1.1% reduction, and the other person's getting a 1.3 improvement because they're dynamic stretching.
Yeah.
Every session that adds up over the course of a year, those 1% either side, it's going to be a massive difference. So definitely, if you're looking to improve, whether it's performance or strength or whatever it is, do the dynamic stuff, because that 1% over a period of a long time is going to add up massively.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So that's pretty much everything we want to cover today. We actually went well over 30 minutes, about 45, easy. Right. Yeah.
Whatever. No, you said up to 45.
I said up to 45.
So back on time.
Yeah. So just to finish off, I guess. So Reiss, where can we find you on socials?
So I'm on Instagram at Elite Step, I think it is. I'm on Twitter, but I don't really use it, but that's at Elite Step. I'm going to try to use that a little bit more now, actually.
Yeah. I feel like Twitter's dead, but it's not. You know
no, it's actually quite good. I had to deactivate my old account and set up a business one because that was when I was at uni, so probably weren't appropriate anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, mostly on Instagram at Elite Step, and on YouTube at Elite Step as well.
Cool. So yeah, that's all from Reiss. Thanks for coming on, mate. So just to finish off, so Reiss and I actually we're putting together a little bit of an online training community platform. This is where we start plugging our shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're somebody who's, I don't know, 25 to 45 and you're male or female, struggling to lose weight, you don't really know what to do in the gym, you feel intimidated by it, you're struggling with nutrition, you've done fad diets, you've done all that kind of stuff, you just don't really feel good about yourself, right? You might have kids, like anything like that, right? We've basically come up with a bit of a step-by-step platform, haven't we? That's just designed to help you guys.
Yeah, honestly, we was looking through the content the other day, weren't we? And it's unreal.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable, the value that we're going to be given. I can't wait.
So I'll put some of the show notes. I'll put the show notes in anyways. I'll chuck in just a link to it, so you can, if you're interested, you want to just have a bit of a call with us, just to find out if it might help you, and also we can just tell you if you're the right person for it, because we're not just going to take anyone and everyone. We want to make sure it's the right people. And then so just to finish off, I'm Dan Q. I'm at Abante Performance, so ABANTE Performance. Go check me out. Insta, Facebook, fuck Twitter. No, I'm just kidding. Just in case I get sponsored one day. If anybody wants to sponsor me already, feel free. Reiss actually cooked me breakfast after this.
Yeah, actually, Amy's just got back with all the ingredients. So,
she did.
It's
good
timing.
And then usually, actually, what we're gonna do with the fitness burrito is I'm always gonna bring a burrito. But I thought, because you're hosting me today, it's only right that you make me breakfast.
I don't think you're going to bring a burrito to every podcast.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. I'll ask the people if they're vegan, veggie, or if they eat meat, and I'll bring them that burrito. It'll be like a tradition.
All right, so if there's any places in Leeds that sell burritos and would like to be sponsoring the podcast,
100%.
Get at us.
What's that shop? Bar Burrito.
Oh, yeah.
Mate, I'm telling you. Yeah, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So thanks for tuning in. Anything you need, just drop us some DMs or check us out on social media. Cheers.
That's quite good.
I thought that was all right.
Yeah, that's it.
It was funny because I don't think I did any intro on myself at the beginning. Whatever.
That was good timing. Amy literally just got back.
Yeah, she did.
Amy, we're done now.
I'm going to, I'll listen to it later.
Yeah,
That was all right.
That was good. It was really good.
I think, just having that structure helps, I think.
Yeah, massively.
Because, we didn't even go into that much detail, and I feel like we still covered some cool stuff.
Yeah.
I think it was good to relate your stuff to, general pop as well.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
It was good timing.
Yeah, it was. We literally, as we were rounding up, saw you walking in.
Mate, it's fun to do.
It is, yeah. I like podcasts.
Yeah.
Just chatting.
It's well nice. The Fitness Burrito.
Because what I thought I might do as well is just when I'm do a thing where I just pick someone up for half an hour, do a half an hour chat with that thing in the car.
Yeah.
And save the audio.
I'm gonna actually just have a quick listen and see how. That's what I need to get next. I need to get these. I need to get
so both
for mics for you, a splitter, and then you have a mic.
Of course, yeah. Right, I'll start breakfast while you're listening to that. Eggs, mushroom, and avocado.
Then we can well, that food warehouse is actually really good, It's actually just like Aldi.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, why don't we go there?
£2.
Why don't we try doing that?
Yeah, they've got everything there.
They're only $1.30.
Yeah, they're actually pet purchase.
Oh, yeah.
Nice ones. Sometimes the Aldi ones are a bit
Yeah.
funky.
I'll make scrambled eggs, yeah?
Yeah.
Scrambled eggs!
Is that alright?
Yeah, it's good, of course. Do you want a coffee or anything? Oh, let's listen to that.
Alright.
Fuck you then, prick. Canadian bastard. Put his headphones in. Fucking hate Canadians. Go back to Canada. Fake American. Belen. That was funny.
Right.
I came in, I was like, DQ, do you want a coffee? And could you listen? It's like, prick. Canadian prick. Fake American. Go back to Canada. You're just chilling, smiling at your laptop.
Shut up.
Did it sound alright, the quality? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think so. I'm just trying to.
How long does it take?
14 minutes. Starving.
Yeah, I'm hungry. He's trying to get a sponsor for our burrito. He said he's going to bring a burrito to every guest. Do you want a bagel or bread?
Okay.
Dad?
Should probably stop the video recorder, shouldn't I?
Oh shit, yeah.